It was supposed to be the perfect getaway. 5 college friends, Anirban, Ria, Sayak, Mealy, and Dev, had planned a weekend trek in the misty hills of North Bengal. They wanted a break from the city, from deadlines, from stress. They had no idea what was waiting for them. At a tea stall near the forest, an old villager watched them with sunken eyes. As they paid and left, he called out, "Stay away from the Eastern Trail. No one comes back from there." They laughed it off. Every forest has ghost stories, right? By dusk, they had set up camp beside a cliff, overlooking a deep forest valley. The sun dipped below the peaks and shadows stretched unnaturally long. Anirban looked out and swore he saw something move among the trees. Just shadows. Or was it? That night, Dev went to relieve himself behind a rock. Minutes passed, then more. When Sayak went to check on him, Dev was gone. Instead, there were footprints, barefoot, large, and not human. They searched all night, calling Dev's name, but only the trees answered, whispering in the wind. Then Mealy pointed. There, on the ridge. A tall, black figure, eyes glowing faint red, stood silently, watching. When they blinked, it was gone. By morning, they stumbled upon an old, moss-covered stone slab in the jungle. Ria cleared the dirt. There were carvings, ancient, tribal, and the word, Chaya Rakshak, the Shadow Guardian. Anirban whispered, "This place is cursed." That night, Sayak sat motionless, staring into the fire. Ria tried to speak, but his lips moved strangely, chanting words in a dead language. Then his head jerked. "She belongs to the hill now," he growled, voice not his own. Mealy and Ria grabbed Anirban and ran through the forest. The path kept shifting. Trees looked the same. They were trapped. Behind them, something ran, not walked, at terrifying speed. They didn't stop. They didn't look back. They reached the stone grave again. The shadow figure stood beside it. "You were warned," it said, voice echoing in their heads. "He awakened us. Now you must stay." Suddenly, Sayak appeared again, no longer possessed, just empty, hollow. Only Anirban returned. He was found days later, wandering a nearby village, barefoot and mute. He never spoke again, but he draws. Over and over he sketches one thing, a shadow with red eyes, standing on a hill. I always wanted to be a travel vlogger. New places, new faces, hidden gems. When I heard about a forgotten hill village in Himachal with no phone network and no tourists, I thought, this is it, my breakthrough vlog. I reached just before sunset. A narrow trail led me to a cottage, stone walls, wooden doors, ivy crawling up the sides. It looked abandoned, but the door was open. Inside, it was dusty but not broken, as if someone had just left. I turned on my camera and said, "Welcome to my solo hill adventure. This place hasn't seen people in years." I had no idea how true that was. As night fell, the air inside the cottage grew cold, colder than outside. I turned on my flashlight and explored. There were framed photos on the wall, but all the faces were scratched out, and on the mirror, words had been written in dust. "I'm still here." I laughed nervously. It had to be a prank, right? Then I heard it, footsteps upstairs. Slow, heavy, one step at a time. I called out, "Hello? Anyone there?" Silence. Then, a whisper near my ear, "Leave." I ran outside. But everything was covered in fog. The forest, the trail, even the sky. There was no direction, no signal. I was trapped. Back inside, I found an old diary on the table. The last entry read, "He watches from the mirror. If you see him, it's already too late." I turned slowly. The mirror was behind me, and in it, he was standing right next to me. Tall, pale, no eyes. I screamed and dropped the camera. The screen cracked, but it kept recording. I tried the door, locked. Windows, nailed shut. Something was moving behind the walls, whispers, fingers tapping, breathing. I sat in a corner and waited for morning. But morning never came. The night stretched on and on. The clock stopped at 3:12 a.m. Every few minutes, he would appear in the mirror, closer, closer, smiling. And then, everything went black. 3 weeks later, another vlogger came looking for me. He found my camera outside the cottage. The footage was still intact. The last 10 seconds show me sitting in front of the mirror. I look up and whisper, "He's behind you." It was supposed to be peaceful. A break. Riddhi and her younger brother Arjun had rented a cottage in a remote Himalayan valley, far from people, far from noise. The villagers were kind but quiet. When Riddhi asked about places to explore, they pointed to everything except the wide green valley behind the hills. They simply called it the Whispering Valley, and they told her, "Don't go there after sunset." But curiosity is a powerful thing. The next morning, they hiked into the valley. It was beautiful, endless grass, wildflowers, and strangely shaped stones scattered across the field. But there was something wrong. Every time the wind blew, it sounded like voices, soft, calling, "Come here, play with us." Arjun laughed, "It's just the wind." Riddhi smiled, but deep down she wasn't so sure. That night while she was reading, Arjun stood by the window, still, silent. "Arjun?" she asked. He turned slowly and said, "They're waiting for me. I heard them." Riddhi froze. "Who?" He didn't answer, just smiled strangely and went to bed. At 2 a.m., Riddhi woke up. Arjun was gone. She ran out into the dark valley with a flashlight, calling his name. No answer, just wind and whispers. The light flickered. She heard and saw him, Arjun, standing in the middle of the field, surrounded by other children, pale, still, staring. She ran to him, grabbed his hand, but it was ice cold. One of the children spoke. "He's one of us now. You heard the whispers too. That means you're next." Riddhi screamed and pulled him, but he wouldn't move. The children surrounded her. Their eyes were hollow. Their mouths moved, but no sound came out, just wind. She fainted. She woke up the next morning, alone in the valley. No Arjun, no children. The grass was untouched, as if no one had ever stood there. The villagers found her wandering the road. She kept asking, "Where's my brother? Where's my brother?" But they only looked away. Riddhi was taken to a hospital in the plains. She stopped speaking, except at night. Every night she whispers in her sleep. "Don't listen to them. Don't go to the valley. They whisper lies."